Another offering from Lupis Craft Creations, this time as a result of a request to show how to make card blanks using the extra large dies, which this one is a Go Create extra large die, and also using ordinary Spellbinders Nestabilities dies and a Sizzix die. This is to create card blanks. You can create card blanks using each of these dies in a Cuttlebug. Okay, you do not need an A4 die cutting platform to use these dies. Okay, these are not grand dies, they are not extra large dies. If you want to use this sort of die, which is bigger than an A5 piece of paper, A5 will go through your Cuttlebug, this will not, this is too big. Okay, so first off I'm going to show how to use the grand die to make a card blank. I have some very heavy 350 GSM card. This is an A3 sheet folded in half. To create a card blank, you do not want to cut two mats. Okay, you need the edge, the cutting edge of the die to overhang the folded edge of the card. Okay, if you do it so that just by feel it's just resting on the fold line, you cannot see any of the cutting edge of the die, you are going to cut two perfect mats. These are not going to be a card blank. To be a card blank, you want part of the cutting process to be skipped so that you end up with a shaped card blank. I'm going to tape this into position and then I will show you exactly what I mean by this. Okay. When you're taping, I recommend taping this into position because you do not want this to move once you have got it level. You want to make sure that it is even so that you have got even amounts of curly bits sticking out over the top, and that isn't quite even. No, it is. Okay. You do not want it to move. You can see the edge of the die just peeking over the top there. Okay, you can see the edge of the cutting edge just peeking over the top. So that means that it is now not going to cut the full edge of the die. Okay, let's whip this through happy. Again, using the happy cut, you want the grey and the white plates, and you want the cutting edge ideally to face down into the grey plate. As I've said before, this doesn't matter huge amounts in all honesty. You see my white plate has been cut into several times. So let's have a look at this. Okay, this hasn't quite cut all the way through, which does tend to happen with the heavier cardstocks. Okay, do not worry about that. Just pop it back through again and we should be okay. Okay, let's have a look at it now. There we go. That's come out. That's fine. So I'm just going to gently ease this tape off. Do be careful when using the low-tech tapes. Despite what they say, when they've been through the machine and been compressed into the card, they still produce a lot of tack. Okay, so they can remove the surface from cardstock or delicate papers. So just be careful with them when taking them off. Right, here we go. Let's remove that a little bit. As you can see, there's where I've missed a bit. There's the base, and there's your card blank. If you're using a shaped die like this, okay, do be aware that in some cases you may have to chop ever so slightly the base of the card, depending as to which way it wants to stand. This one's okay because it's got a double dimple in the bottom of it. Whoops, stand up. So that should stand fine. But if you are using something like the circle die, which I'm going to use next, you will need to cut a stand point in it. The circle die I'm doing on its own because I know I'm going to struggle to get some of the others on. Okay, so I just want to run that right to the edge. Again, tape it in place. Okay, and you can just see the edge of the cutting edge right there. Okay, so that means it's not going to cut 2 circular mats out. It's always worth double checking that you're actually cutting on the fold line and not the open ends. If you cut on the open ends like that, unfortunately you will end up with 2 not quite perfect mats, because you will have left a small gap to create the fold, which obviously has been missed. Right, let's open this up. As you can see, I have got a tiny little piece of card hanging on there, but what I was saying about cutting a base, there we go. That's fine if you want to rock a card, but I would recommend just trimming it off depending as to where your design is going to end up, unless it's an easel card, of course, in which case it doesn't matter. So next up I have some shaped dies. This one's quite nice because it has 2 flat edges and 2 curved edges. Okay, so what I want to do with this is I want to make sure that the flat edge just overhangs, as you can see, the edge of the cut there. Okay, so I'm just going to tape that into place. Like that. Okay, you can just see it peeking over the top. And then even the little dies like this will make very sweet little cards. Okay, apparently little tiddy tiny cards are going to be the in thing this year. I suppose that's all due to the world economy. So what I've done with this little die though, as it has got curves all the way round, yes, I've left it overhanging quite a bit there, but I've also left quite a bit of overhang on the bottom edge there. The reason for doing it that way is so that when you come to stand the card up, you don't have to then cut it to create a standing platform, as you would have to do ordinarily. If you want to use smaller pieces of card, you can. Again, the advantage to having an A4 machine is that you don't actually have to do that with these dies. Okay. Right, let's just double check it's gone all the way through, and this hasn't quite gone, so I'm just going to turn it round. I'll slide it over a little bit more into the middle and then just run it through again. Wrong way. I nearly cut upwards then, at which point everyone would have been screaming at me, you've cut into the wrong plate. In all honesty, I don't think it really matters. Accidents happen, and it's not done any real damage to my plates, so I'm not that bothered about it. Okay, there we go. This time we have, as you can see, full cuts, although my tape has got stuck. So this is the little tiddy tiny one. Remove this. Okay. You can see where I've actually left the bottom edge off as well. That was deliberate. So we have the fold there. Okay. And we have a flat bottom. if I was to do it that way, which I didn't account for, it's going to wibble and wobble. You can just cut them off, but if that's the way that you want your card to sit, you might as well take it into account when you're doing the design. It's less work. One less thing to get wrong. This is the very pretty die. Now, if I stand it that way, it's given perfect result. However, if I want it to stand that way, it's not going to until I chop the bottom off. You must always remember to use the fold, okay, as your guide, so that you don't cut it off. And it's basically how simple creating card blanks with these dies can be. Any of your labels dies or your nesty dies will do the job. So I'm just going to use these last two just to show you what I mean. Again, this is all 300 GSM card. So now there's the front of the dies. Okay, these are the largest ones of the nesting dies. As you can see, the cutting edge is just sticking over on both, and just run that one slightly down a bit. There we go. So that's all even. Here we go. Okay, this is a linen textured cardstock. It does not cut straight through the first time. So I'm going to turn this 90 degrees and pop it back through. If you use a textured cardstock, you are less likely to get a perfect cut the first time through the machine. You will have to do 2 runs through the machine at a minimum. Okay. No, still not quite there. So I'm going to turn it around 180 degrees and run it through again. Okay, that's better. Right, let's try and get these off for you. Okay, right, as you can see, there's where I haven't cut through, so it's got very thin hold onto it, and that one will stand quite nicely due to the shape. Okay. This next one, however, will not stand nicely because of the shape of the die. You will see what I mean when I bring it out. Here we go. Right. There's where I haven't cut through. Okay. However, if I pop it down, it's not going to lie flat. Okay. You will need to trim either this end here with a pair of scissors. You need a little bit off to get it to stand like that, or take a pair of scissors to the bottom, depending as to which way you want your card to stand up. There you go. Hopefully you'll come back later, as I intend to do embossing using the dies without actually cutting through. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Thank you very much for watching.